tonight. So trying to take you back to Freedom Park. That, of course, is where the ceremony will be taking place. It has already. So just to talk you through it, I can already see that from our international editor, Sophie McQuena, she's stationed outside the One Military Hospital, and that is where the homecoming parade, well, I don't think you can call it, I think you call it more a cortege of those remains that will be transported from the military hospital to Freedom Park will be beginning. Basically, South African freedom fighters who passed away in Zambia and Zimbabwe during the apartheid era. They arrived back in South Africa on Wednesday, and there's the big proceedings that will be taking place today at Freedom Park. So let's go to Kaya. He is at Freedom Park. Let's cross over to him now.
Okay. Well, absolutely. So quite a very important occasion. So this is just a final aspect here at Isevivane, a very important area when you talk about the very importance of Freedom Park. But let's hear now from one of the very key players here from Gogombele, was part of this ceremony here. As we know that when you talk about the heritage, but also talking about the spirit and really making sure that you really respond to the departed souls, Gogo. Tell us about the significance of this aspect.
I think us being Africans, whenever we do things, remember that the land we do not own, the land owns us. So what we needed to do was to ask the spirits, the land spirits, amakhosi, amakhosikazi, indlovukazi of the land, narrating and lamenting that the children of South Africa are lying around, in the continent and outside the continent, and they are crying, they want to come back home. So Isivivane as a shrine, our national shrine. So we requested also the departed ones, which are here, it has been there for quite a long time. Uguti, they need to usher us, because families have come up now to say, we are not well, we are sick, we are traumatized, we do not know, we don't have closure. So we need to bring back our loved one, their spirits, their bodies. So what we did, therefore, as Freedom Park Interfaith, we organized ourselves and we briefed the families, actually allowing them to choose to say what they want to do. So they chose that, we want Freedom Park to assist as well in ensuring that we bring our spirit back home. So then we started here before we departed and asked the ancestors here, the land spirits, the kings of this land, to open up the way and go with us to the far lands of Zambia, Zimbabwe, where we are going to request also the land spirit on the other lands to release them so that they may come back home and we start healing. So we use different plants. There's a plant that we call umlahlankosi. We allowed the families also to have umtuntu, a basket that we use when we go and collecting with amatanzi. So we went there. Yes, we met with the healers, we met with the religious leaders on that land. They've assisted us, but also the role that was played by government to ensure that the movement was not hectic for us, and also border to border, we are not hectic. So we thank the government also for assisting families. When we reached on the other side, then we were shown where they are, where they've fallen, then we were ushered to those spaces where we can perform our African ways of doing things and bringing spirits at home. And we did that before the bodies, their remains were brought back, as now they are here. So we came back and also say, ukuhamba kwethu from here esivivaneni will come back because you have ushered us and allowed us to go, but now we are back today to tell you that sihambe kahle, and they are back home, they've landed and they are here. And we also want to pay gratitude to them to say they left this land because they were fighting for us. They gave their lives, So coming back, South Africa has changed. Yes, we may say we are free, but there are some aspects that we want them coming back home. First, to heal, and the families to heal, and also to heal the wounds in all of us, because they neither belong to the families only, so they belong to all of us. So we brought families again here and everyone to celebrate them, to say, our heroes are coming back. Amaqhawe wesizwe, they are here with us, and we managed to bring them back. Yes, there are still others that are still lying, but the ones that are here, sibika kini bokhokho, sibika kini namakhosikazi, sibika kini nina mathonga amakhulu wase South Africa, sibika kini nina bomhlaba ukuthi abantwana benu bakhona babuyile. You know, we will be seeing them coming in, you know, not so long now. We are expecting that their remains will be coming, but here we're just saying, let them heal. Let them rejoice. Let them come and rest. At the end of the day, they are at home. And families may start healing. And the wounds may start healing to all of us. And the pains and the traumas that we have gone through, maybe we can start healing.
We appreciate that comprehensive response, Kokompele. But let's hear from others as well, from the Rastafarian community here. Tell us about your presence here and just a message that you conveyed as well.
Well, as you know, Rastafari is a black power movement created by black people for black people within the context of black supremacy, but also is a response to colonialism and slavery. And one of the things that it highlights is repatriation. Those who have gone through the transatlantic slave trade, those who have died outside fighting for our freedom. So repatriation is very key. So the fact that today we are here repatriating the remains of those who died for our freedom, for South Africa to be where we are, it is very important. But as the African wisdom teaches us that the ritual is the food of the spirit. For you to have a spiritual, you have to have a combination of ritual and spirit. So basically here, within the context of our African spirituality, we're performing rituals and expressing the ways of our ancestors to lay the soul to rest. As we know that the body dies, but the spirit continues to live. But if it's not performed, proper rituals are not performed for that soul, it won't rest. So it is also to facilitate their journey into the world Yabadimu, the world of the ancestors, the spiritual world, where they continue with us, but knowing that now they are in a proper way, proper rituals are performed for them, proper prayers are performed for them, and the families are also having their closure. So it is a great moment for South Africa, for Zambia, for Zimbabwe, where these heroes of our struggle laid for all these years, even to finally come back home. So as a community of Rastafari, we also are very delighted to be part of this historic moment.
All right, so certainly. Thank you so much for your time. But also bringing into equation, Leanne, we do have Dr. Motshekga when it comes to the issues of reconciliation, you know, spiritualism. You're quite well versed on that, Doctor. Let's talk about the significance of this moment, especially at such a very pivotal moment for South Africa. 30 years of democracy, and we've seen the repatriation of these mortal remains. What does it mean for this young democracy?
We must thank the leadership of this country under President Cyril Ramaphosa for recognizing and acknowledging the spirituality of the African people. African people are deeply spiritual, deeply religious. And our wars of resistance, led by the kings and queens, our national liberation struggle, led by the heroes and heroines that we are bringing back today, were inspired by our belief system. You know, President Mandela said to us that Islam, Christianity, and other imported religions should know that African religion is no longer a superstition that must be replaced by other religions. He highlighted in particular African humanism, Ubuntu Wotu, as something that binds all humanity together. It transcends race, gender, class, tribe, ethnicity, and so on. Now, bringing all these heroes and heroines here and bringing all the religions is also a recognition that our people belonged not only to African spirituality but other religions. And if we want to build a socially cohesive and prosperous nation, we have to unite everybody, both at a spiritual level and at a material level. So then South Africa can continue to be an example in the world. Because if you can see, the world today is falling apart because people believe that only the material aspect of us is what matters and what is. Whereas a human being is both a spiritual and a material being. When our soldiers fall in battle, it is the body that dies, their soul remains. It is therefore important that we support this government to continue the work of finding all the fallen soldiers, bring not only their remains, but also bring their souls back.
Doctor, before I let you go, I mean, looking at the role that was played by the frontline states, I mean, they opened their doors when it was not popular, at the very height of apartheid regime, especially when they knew that economically they could have been sabotaged, when the raids could have been conducted. So that they also really paid a price. You know, you look at the history of Zambia, Botswana, and many other countries as well.
You know, the founders of our democracy in this country and outside were deeply spiritual people. That's why they were able to sacrifice material things so that we can be free. For them, it was not only the economic achievement that were important, but also the spiritual achievement. That's why in Zimbabwe, at the Matopo Hills, there is a cave there where all the freedom fighters, when after Zimbabwe was freed, Mozambique was freed, Namibia was freed, they went to Matopo Hills to go and report back to the Queen of Heaven, Muwari Wedenga, also called Muwali Wedenga, who is called Muwali Nkulunkulu in Zulu, is called Mzimu in Ndebele, is called Muzimu in Shona and Venda, and it's called Mudimu in Sotho, Pedi and Tswana. So you can see that the people of Southern Africa are spiritually, socially and politically united. Now this is what we must united. Now this is what we must teach our children, that in life, not only pursue material things, there are spiritual things. So we have brought these heroes and heroines here because without their souls, we are not complete. And we must continue honoring them, thanking them and their families for the sacrifices they made so that we can be free today.
Okay. Dr. Motshekga, thank you so much indeed for that. So obviously the spiritual element, very, very key. But my colleague, Kenny Mapanga, is on the other side of Freedom Park. So Kenny, over to you.
Thank you to my colleague Khayelihle Khumalo there at the sanctuary site. Well, we are joined by military veterans that have been, or comrades with some of those who will be seeing returning to their final resting place on this momentous occasion. Thank you so much for your patience, Mr. Lennox Class, who joins us now, who actually was stationed primarily in Zambia. So a lot of these comrades that you'll be seeing their mortal remains returning today are actually people that you know and fought with in the struggle. Quite a heavy moment for you as you witness this return decades later.
Thank you very much, Kenny. Yes, indeed. It is to tell the truth when you say we know almost 90% of our freedom fighters or colleagues. We just witnessed them being repatriated yesterday. Thank you once again to the public broadcaster for making it its business to tell the story of liberation in South Africa, without which people might not know where we come from, where we are, and where we need to be tomorrow. This is very critical so that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. Yes, indeed, Kenny, you are right. The great deal of my being in exile was in Lusaka. I worked there with Radio Freedom. Part of what I was doing over there is pretty much the same of what you're doing, but I was mobilizing people to join forces in fighting for the liberation of their country. Yes, indeed, these many mortal remains we are receiving here in the citadels of people's power, Pretoria or Tshwane. It's the continuation of what we used to do, what we used to say, and what we used to sing about. You will remember there was a song that used to go along the lines, Siyaya Pitoli. That song signaled one specific thing, and it did not mean we loved our areas of origin less. It means we needed to come here and redress the problems of the past, because all what was bad about South Africa before was crafted here in Pretoria. More than anything, we are so indebted to the families of the people we saw being repatriated. Thanks once again to our President Cyril Ramaphosa for declaring in one of the State of the Nation addresses that he was going to make sure during his reign these mortal remains will be brought into the country. That was as a result of many formal and informal engagements between the government, the African National Congress, and the family members of these mortal remains. What a birthday. What a birthday to O.R. Tambo, a chief, a commander-in-chief of MK. I know wherever he is, he's very happy. He was celebrating his 107th birthday next month. So no birthday beats this one, because he made the promise to the people of South Africa that we will bring each and every one of the comrades who died beyond the borders of South Africa. This is the first of its kind. I'm talking in terms of mass nature or magnitude. We've been repatriating our comrades, yes, from the beginning of time. Up to now, it's 102. But mostly it was the initiative of the family members. But this is the government initiative, and we're very, very happy that is finally happening.
If we look back into history and the kind of cost that you had to pay out on these camps, and you could describe just briefly what you went through as comrades in the liberation struggle when you left and went out into exile, what could you possibly tell us?
Wow. Kenny, we saw our comrades dying in front of us. We received calls that the comrades who left a minute ago were involved in an ambush. It was a very painful path. It's not an exaggeration. It's a pity you have people today, they call themselves analysts, saying that MK was a foolish army and MK never lifted a finger in the contribution of our liberation. You see, it's like someone saying to you, your gun cannot shoot me. You see, there's no way of proving that, because that person is not even going to hear the sound of that gun. It was a very long and enduring period, something that we were ready for. Kenya, I might add. Just the basic training. We've seen people losing their lives. It was tough in Angola and eventually in Uganda. I don't even want to talk about Angola. You see, that country immediately after its freedom, it started fighting for another freedom, the freedom of South Africa, Namibia, and Zimbabwe. Maybe it's a subject of another day. maybe it's a subject of another day.
I think it is. Thank you so much, Mr. Lennox Class, just reflecting there on the life of an MK veteran as well as how he feels about his fellow comrades making their way to their final resting place in this momentous occasion that we'll see starting shortly in the coming hours. We'll continue to give you those live updates as we celebrate the life and legacies of these heroes and heroines that are partly responsible, or wholly responsible, for the constitutional democracy that we enjoy today. Over to you in studio, Leanne.
Canny, thanks very much for that.